and welcome to Biscuits and a Brew again. I'm really rubbish at this branding stuff. And I have with me on the other side of the bonnet of this nearly 30-year-old Isuzu Trooper is a man who's a little bit more than 30 years old, but not much. Jan Bailey, who is occasionally an international mountain leader.
Occasionally indeed.
Yes. Why are you here?
Because you invited me.
Oh yeah, that's
You
right.
told me there was going to be high quality biscuits just like last time.
So this we have Belmont biscuits from Aldi, milk chocolate digestives, which are in a packet which is suspiciously similar to McVitie's chocolate digestives, but I'm sure it's definitely not made by McVitie's or made to look like McVitie's.
Total coincidence.
Yeah. Okay. So, Jan, why are you an outdoor instructor? Or are you an outdoor instructor? Are you you're the right person?
I am the right person. I'm an outdoor instructor because I enjoy being outside with people and showing them things that ordinarily they wouldn't do. Things and places that sometimes can be difficult to get to, but well worth visiting.
Because like most outdoor instructors, you kind of got this parallel career path thing, haven't you? Where you have a day job, well, occasionally a day job where you're a teacher. And from what I hear, quite a good one, but I only hear that from you and people you've met. So
Yeah, only people I've bribed to say that.
yeah. You're an English teacher.
A teacher of English, yes.
A teacher of English.
And a pedant.
This is why you correct my WhatsApp messages to you. And
Only the spelling,
And
punctuation and the syntax.
just the English bits of it.
Yeah.
So what came first? Did you want to become a teacher first, or was the outdoor thing first? What?
I think the outdoor thing was placed in me way back when I was at school.
Right.
And it had always been lurking in the background, and the opportunities to go out and do things.
Yeah.
And then teaching became something that I really enjoyed doing, and it seemed a perfect way to marry the two together.
Because it seems from the people I know and the people I work with and people we both know, there seems to be, it's quite common that there's this parallel thing. You either become a teacher because what you really want to do is being able to take people into the outdoors and do something with that. But as most outdoor instructors know, and both here and in other English-speaking places in the world, you may as well go and become a supervisor in the local supermarket and get a pay upgrade than become an outdoor instructor on its own. It's not enough to... what's the joke? What's the difference between a large pizza and an outdoor instructor's salary? That you can feed a family on a large pizza.
Yeah, it's truth in that, for sure.
So, when you became... Was there always this kind of parallel thing in your head where you're going to go, I'll do one and then do the other?
I think it was a case of seeing how things would develop.
Yeah.
It was the case that you would run with the teaching, and it would give you the opportunity to do and explore the outdoors. And obviously, you've got the opportunity to do Duke of Edinburgh, to become involved in residentials. All of those things are fantastic opportunities for teachers to be involved and to learn how to do things with the students that they're working with.
And for the non-UK listeners, doing the Duke of Edinburgh isn't a strange thing that you do to the Queen's husband. It's the Duke of Edinburgh award scheme, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's an award scheme for young people to become involved in their communities and to develop themselves.
It's a bit like scouting, but without the kind of the Christian paramilitary roots.
Probably, yeah. There's no Baden Powell in this, no.
Yeah, Mark from Big Man in the Woods probably cursing my description of scouting there. I want to talk about being an international mountain leader and this slightly strange award scheme we have for mountain training in the UK. When did you start your journey through that scheme? Because presumably you went to become a mountain leader first, just summer mountain leader.
I went through the mountain leader scheme first.
When was that?
1999 into 2000. That was the formal process for me of becoming qualified as a mountain leader.
Mm-hmm.
I then spent some time overseas in the Alpine countries, walking and climbing. And the International Mountain Leader was a perfect way of being able to take those skills but to take them into an international setting. Yeah.
So this is, from an outsider, because it's not an award I hold, it seems like it was a really good way of coordinating standards between lots of different countries that had lots of different standards about what an outdoor mountain guide type person should be, to enable them to work within those other countries. So you could work up to an agreed level in France or Switzerland or Germany or wherever,
it was very much to meet the French equivalence,
Yeah.
to allow UK instructors to work in France legally. We needed a mechanism to do this, and the IML, as it became, was probably the way to do it. Individually, you could go along and take your individual British qualifications and submit them to the French for equivalence, but this was a single pathway which would enable British instructors or UK instructors to do this.
So this is, because the IML wasn't, it's kind of the version 2 as well, isn't it? There was something else before?
It was called the EML, the European Mountain Leader, and then subsequently became the International Mountain Leader, as the group of countries which recognised it expanded, and increasingly now Nepal, countries in South America, and we're starting to see it becoming far more widely known and recognised, and that's a good thing for people who hold the award and anyone thinking of entering into it.
Yeah, 'cause I don't do any of that kind of work now, but I used to work for companies that did lead treks overseas, Nepal and Kilimanjaro and things like that, and it seems that I did that in the time when it was a bit of the Wild West, with it not nowhere near that extreme, but it was a very mixed bag in terms of what you actually needed to do to prove your skills and experience, to take people into very remote areas in countries that didn't necessarily have the best search and rescue infrastructure or whatever, and you didn't need to be able to prove that much or show that much, did you?
No. I mean, there's always been that balance between qualification and experience and expertise. The IML had a syllabus which identified all of the key areas and would provide the grounding for anyone wishing to follow that pathway, as opposed to an ad hoc basis, which isn't entirely without merit.
Yeah.
But the IML was a way of showing that there was a standard which could be met. And I think that was where it really showed its strengths.
So know from other people who have carried on with that scheme, from the people I originally trained with and people we both know, it seems to be more of a trend now for people going to do the IML rather than doing the UK specific qualifications. So we have in the UK we have an award and training scheme for the summer mountain leader, so which doesn't just mean it's from April through to October, it just means as long as there isn't snow on the ground, or that's not the main condition. And then there's another award above that which is for winter conditions, the winter mountain leader, and then there are mountaineering instructor certificates, or whatever we're calling them this week.
Yeah, we've changed them, yes.
But it seems to be that more people are instead of going for the winter mountain leader, are going off to do their international mountain leader first, because there's almost more work there as a freelancer.
Yeah, I think unless you were based in Scotland, your chances of using the winter qualification for leading groups in the hills in winter, the amount of work is pretty limited. However, if we look at where people are now travelling around the world, the International Mountain Leader enables someone to show competence, and of course, because there's a professional ongoing requirement for continuing development, it enables someone to show they have currency as well.
Yeah, because to be an IML in the UK, you have to be a member of BAML,
Yeah.
the British Association of International Mountain Leaders, which is how we met again some of our mutual friends. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Basically, your carnet, which is issued through BAML, and you have to show that competence and maintain those standards. So it is an ongoing process. It's not I passed it in 1999, I'm still valid. No, you have to maintain a currency with professional development.
Yeah, because we did this, we're at a social thing here today, but there's, we were talking earlier on about avalanche prediction and avalanche, managing avalanche hazards and things like that, and we were talking about how it has changed, not overnight, but how risk is being managed and how risk is being perceived and predicted is changing quite rapidly, and anyone who knows about, who's interested in that avalanche world and they're an avalanche geek, you know that is changing. It's changing constantly, and we were talking in depth about that earlier. That because you are operating in that kind of terrain, and you're in that rolling. Is it rolling?
Rolling Nordic. The old definition was rolling Nordic terrain, but the idea should be, if you were leading a snowshoeing group, you shouldn't actually be in the sort of terrain which we identify as avalanche prone because of the steepness of the terrain. Although there's a proviso in that terrain that can be low angle can be connected to terrain which is avalanche prone, and that is a key area. Equally, when we move through spring conditions and early summer conditions in mountainous areas, you can still be threatened from above even though there is no snow in the area you're working.
Well, it's that threat from above thing I was just thinking about, because that rolling Nordic terrain is often underneath a sort of great big steep slope that's where the avalanche starts there, but it does end up down here where you're plodding through the snowshoes.
I mean, essentially, it's the difference I would say between the mountain leader and, say, the international mountain leader is there is a greater emphasis on the professionalism within the international mountain leader, I would have argued.
Yeah.
I mean, the mountain leader has developed over time and will continue to develop, but as a first step, it is a fantastic qualification for leading into the IML.
Do you think that's because it's a newer award and it grew up in a different world rather than... Because the mountain leader's 40 years old now, 45, probably, early 70s? Yes, they're older.
I think the IML is under continual evaluation, not only within the UK, but from our international partners within WIMLA. And it's the pressures of leading in those countries and development and dynamic development within those countries as more countries come into it, which you're starting to see this.
Is it you can see that as well when you talk to IMLs from other countries under their own schemes. I was working a few years ago with Slovenian guide there who's saying that at their IMLs they can lead groups on via ferratas on sketchy limestone on pegs that were put in the First World War, and that's completely within remit, whereas in the UK that would be what they call now mountain rock climbing instructors. No, that's the other one. What used to be MIA, what used to be Mountaineering Instructor Award, is now something else. MTI?
Could be, I've lost mountaineering and climbing instructors. Mind, they would argue that the Via Ferrata would have to be an additional module.
Yeah.
And we're going... One of the things is, with the dynamic, is that we need to be competent and familiar with these different environments we work in.
Yeah. And also, we have to be able to train it in the UK to start off the training. So the training starts here at Placid Brennan or Glenmore Lodge. In the UK, it has to work in the UK conditions. Yeah. So...
I mean, I think that was the biggest change when the IML went to its summer and winter assessments. Summer training overseas, summer assessment overseas, winter training overseas, winter assessment overseas. And that did change the paradigm, I believe, because prior to that, training was UK, assessment might have been overseas, or alternatively, it was done in the UK at different points.
On the last video that we did with Brian from Camouflage, I asked him 5 questions, and the video went on for about 40 minutes. Actually, that was a longer video. We edited it down to get to that 40 minutes. So I'm trying to keep this one much shorter. So instead of the 5 questions, I'm going to try and ask Jan the essence of that. So if I was to pull you up in the mountains, pretty much anywhere in the world or anywhere doing your outdoor work, what would you have in your bag? 5 things.
Something to do first aid with. Something to pad, tape. Definitely some form of navigation.
Yep.
Head torch.
Yep.
Emergency warmth. Something that would give me emergency warmth.
So there's that mountain survival kit that we've talked about on other videos and we do on the courses and things. It's that
something to keep something I can create shelter with, something I can create warmth with. That's going to keep me alive overnight, at least till rescue gets to me.
And something that can get you off the mountain in navigation.
Certainly,
and if you were to... Is there any advice you would give to somebody who is maybe looking at that possibly the same career path where you might end up in the mountains, you might end up doing some outdoor work, or you want to maybe look at the teaching route as well, because I know there's still a lot of parallel there in the training schemes that go on now. Is there any advice that you give to a new teacher, a new outdoor instructor, or somebody giving...
Say yes to opportunities. Yeah. There are so many opportunities, even now, even within the curriculums we have within the UK, for people to become involved in different aspects. And oftentimes it's the paths that you don't expect which become most fruitful, if you wish.
So if I give you £5,000, 2 weeks, You do whatever you want. For me, I'd probably stay home and pay a bill.
Mm-hmm.
But assuming that's already covered, what would you do?
I'd travel to Antarctica. I always fancied having a look at the dry valleys of Antarctica.
It's $5,000 would get you there, back, and maybe get you something to eat. Just about.
I think that would be it, yeah.
That's about it. Because Gareth is probably watching this, scheming a way he could do it for less.
I know Gareth probably could. There's probably opportunities within the British Antarctic Survey to get over there and to see those things. And there are other nations as well, such as New Zealand, that have opportunities for teachers to go and visit those places.
So people won't find you on a website at the moment, but where will they find you on social media? You have a Twitter account?
I do have a Twitter, which tends to be my views about certain elements of the outdoor industry, particularly, as we mentioned, with avalanches and basic leading in environmentalism generally.
So that is at Jan. What's your
Yanni and B?
Yanni and B. So that should be down here somewhere. It's appearing down here. Are you on Instagram or anything like that?
Not yet, no.
No. You're old school social media, just Twitter, just text.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you will find Jan appearing in some of our videos and some of the other things. There was a couple of winter days out we did last year and snowshoeing around in Snowdonia and a few others. But yeah, you'll see Jan amongst our other stuff. But go and follow him on Twitter and see what he has to rant about avalanches and predictions and Faraday bags.
Yeah, the Faraday bag.
That's it. Jan, thank you very much for appearing on the video. Thank you for sharing the biscuits. I think I've eaten more biscuits than you. And again, thank you very much.
Happy leading, yes.
Thank you to you lot for watching and for supporting the channel and watching these things. If you like the video, then click like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But of course I can't force you to do any of those things, so if you're just going to go along to the next video, then that's fine too. If you have any questions for Jan, you can ask him on Twitter or put them in the comments below, or you can contact me through my social media, so that should be rotating round on the screen below here if I remember to do it in the edit. And I think that's it. I really am rubbish at YouTube. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again next time.